Nebraska's landscape hides stories far older than towns or trails. Beneath quiet valleys and open fields lie traces of ancient villages, earth lodges and camps where people lived, farmed, and survived for thousands of years. From Ash Hollow to the Platte River, these places reveal a deep human past that still shapes the land, even if most of it now lies unseen beneath our feet. Ash Hollow Archaeological Complex. If you stand at Ash Hollow today, it does not feel like a place where thousands of years of human life passed by. The land is quiet, tall grass moves with the wind, cottonwood trees line the creek, and the bluffs rise gently around you. It feels open, calm, almost empty, but that calm hides a very deep story. Ash Hollow is one of the most important ancient places in Nebraska, not because of one single event, but because people kept coming back here again and again for thousands of years. Ash Hollow sits along a natural break in the land where water, shelter, and travel routes all meet. The creek runs through the valley, fed by springs that do not dry up easily. The bluffs offer protection from harsh wind and storms. Game animals pass through this area on regular paths. Long before wagons and roads, this place was already a natural crossing point. People did not need maps to find it. The land itself guided them here. The oldest evidence of human presence at Ash Hollow goes back thousands of years, deep into prehistoric time. Archaeologists found stone tools buried in layers of soil, each layer representing a different time period. These are not just a few scattered pieces. They show repeated use. Camps were set up, used, abandoned, and then used again centuries later by different groups. This tells us something important. Ash Hollow was not a one-time stop. It was a place that stayed useful no matter how much time passed. One of the most striking things about Ash Hollow is how clearly the land preserves time. The soil here built up slowly. Floods from the creek laid down new layers. Wind carried dust that settled and hardened. Because of this, tools and fire pits were sealed away, protected from being destroyed. When archaeologists dug carefully, they could see clear lines between one era and another. It is like reading pages in a book written by the land itself. People who stayed here lived close to nature in a direct way. They hunted bison, deer, and smaller animals. They gathered plants and roots. Evidence of cooking fires shows they processed meat and shared food. Stone tools were made and repaired on site. Some tools came from stone that is not local, which tells us these people traveled or traded with others far away. Ash Hollow was not isolated. It was part of a much larger network of movement across the plains. What makes the site mysterious is how many different cultures passed through. Over thousands of years, styles of tools changed, methods of living shifted, but the place stayed important. We do not know the names of many of the early groups who used Ash Hollow. They left no written records. All we have are broken tools, burned stones, and soil stains where shelters once stood. From that, archaeologists try to rebuild lives, but many details are still missing. Later on, the site became important again during historic times. Native tribes continued to use the area as a travel corridor and seasonal camp. Much later, in the 1800s, emigrants on the Oregon Trail passed through the same hollow wagon ruts cut into the ground, following the same natural path people had used for thousands of years. This overlap is one of the most powerful things about Ash Hollow. Different cultures, separated by huge gaps in time, all made the same choice. They followed the land. There are also stories tied to hardship here. For native groups, this was not just a peaceful place. It was a place of survival, movement, and sometimes conflict. Later, for emigrants, Ash Hollow marked a difficult stretch of the journey west. People struggled with exhaustion, illness, and loss. When you stand in the hollow today, it is easy to forget how many hard decisions were made in this valley. One of the biggest mysteries is how often the site was used during the earliest periods. Some layers show heavy activity, others much less. This suggests changes in climate, animal movement, or social patterns that we do not fully understand. Did drought push people away for generations? Did changes in bison herds affect how long groups stayed? The land holds clues but not full answers. Another unanswered question is how large some of the camps were. Were these small family groups passing through, or larger gatherings tied to seasonal hunts or trade? The evidence could support both ideas, and that uncertainty keeps Ash Hollow an active subject of study. Each new excavation adds detail, but also raises new questions. Today, Ash Hollow is protected as a historical area and state park. That protection is a major positive. The land is no longer being plowed or built over. Visitors can walk the trails, see the bluffs, and get a sense of the natural setting that drew people here for so long. There are signs that explain the history in simple terms, and the area feels respectful and preserved. At the same time, there are limits. Most of what makes Ash Hollow important is underground. You cannot see the ancient camps just by looking. To some visitors, the site may feel underwhelming if they expect ruins or structures. Erosion is also an ongoing issue. Wind and water slowly wear away the bluffs, and while this can expose artifacts, it also threatens to destroy them. There is also the challenge of modern attention. While the site is protected, not all visitors understand its depth. Some walk through without realizing they are standing on layers of human history thousands of years old. That gap between what the land holds and what people see is one of the quiet risks facing Ash Hollow. From my point of view, Ash Hollow is powerful precisely because it does not show off. It does not demand attention with big monuments. Instead, it asks for patience. If you slow down and imagine the past, the place becomes alive. You start to picture smoke rising from small fires, people moving through tall grass, tools being shaped by hand. It feels human and grounded. I also think Ash Hollow tells a bigger story about how humans relate to land. When a place works, people return to it, not because of tradition alone, but because it meets real needs: water, shelter, movement, safety. Ash Hollow did all of that again and again across deep time. That consistency is rare and meaningful. The present situation at Ash Hollow is mostly positive. The site is stable, protected, and open to the public in a controlled way. Education efforts continue, and the land still feels close to nature. On the negative side, erosion, limited funding, and public awareness remain concerns. Much of the story is still hidden, and once soil layers are lost, they cannot be replaced. Ash Hollow today is quiet, open, and easy to miss, but beneath your feet is one of Nebraska's longest human stories, still waiting, still holding questions, and still reminding us that the land often remembers more than we do. Franklin Earth Lodge Sites. When you arrive at the Franklin Earth Lodge sites today, there is a strong chance you would miss them completely if you did not know what to look for. There are no standing walls, no tall mounds, no stone ruins. The land looks like open farmland, gently rolling, quiet and ordinary. But hidden just below the surface are the faint outlines of homes that once held families, fires, stories, and daily life for centuries. This is what makes the Franklin Earth Lodge sites so haunting. The past here does not rise up, it sinks down and waits. These earth lodges were built by native plains groups who understood the land deeply. The homes were dug partially into the ground, with strong wooden frames and thick earth packed over the top. From a distance, they blended into the landscape. In winter, they held warmth. In summer, they stayed cool. Smoke rose through a small opening at the center, and light filtered in softly. These were not temporary shelters. They were serious homes meant to last. What remains today are shallow circular depressions in the soil. Some are easy to see when the light is right, or when grass grows differently inside the circle. Others are almost invisible. Archaeologists had to walk the land carefully, mapping patterns and spacing to understand what they were seeing. Slowly, the layout of entire villages began to appear, homes arranged with purpose, shared spaces, paths between lodges worn smooth by feet long gone. The mystery starts with scale. There are many lodge depressions spread across the area, suggesting a large population, but how large, and for how long, is still debated. Some evidence suggests these villages were occupied seasonally. Other signs point to long-term use, with repairs and rebuilding over generations. Without written records, it is hard to know how stable life here really was. Life at these lodges was likely busy and demanding. People farmed corn, beans, and squash in nearby fields. They hunted bison and deer when herds passed close. They gathered plants along streams and riverbanks. Inside the lodges, families cooked, worked hides, made tools, and told stories. Children grew up here. Elders passed down knowledge. This was not a wilderness camp. It was a living community. One of the most interesting questions is how these villages were organized socially. Were all lodges equal, or did some families hold more power? Was there a central meeting space? Did leaders live in larger lodges? The physical remains do not give clear answers. The ground shows circles, not hierarchy. That silence leaves room for many possibilities. Another mystery is movement. These people did not stay forever. At some point, the lodges were abandoned. We do not know if that happened slowly or suddenly. Climate change may have played a role. Drought could have damaged crops. Shifts in bison patterns may have reduced hunting success. Conflict with other groups is also possible. The land does not explain why people left, only that they did. What makes Franklin especially important is how fragile the evidence is. Earth lodges were built mostly from wood, grass, and soil. When they collapsed or were abandoned, nature slowly erased them. Over time, plowing and farming flattened the land even more. Many lodge sites across the plains were destroyed before anyone knew they existed. Franklin survived partly by chance. Archaeological work here has been careful and limited. Small excavations revealed hearths, storage pits, pottery fragments, and tools. These items confirmed daily life rather than ceremony. This was a place of work, family, and routine. That everyday quality makes it easier to connect with, but also harder to dramatize. There is no single dramatic moment here, just long stretches of living. Today, the condition of the Franklin Earth Lodge sites is mixed. On the positive side, their location is now known, documented, and monitored. Awareness has grown among landowners and historians. Some areas are protected from further damage. Modern archaeology techniques allow researchers to study the site without heavy digging, which helps preserve what remains underground. On the negative side, much has already been lost. Farming has flattened many lodge depressions. Erosion continues slowly but steadily. Because the site does not look dramatic, it is easy for people to underestimate its value. There are no visitor centers on site, no walking paths guiding the eye. Without context, the land feels empty, and that emptiness can be misleading. Standing there today, I find the place quietly emotional. There is something powerful about knowing families once slept beneath that soil, hearing the wind the same way we do now. At the same time, it feels fragile, like a memory that could fade if people stop paying attention. The story of Franklin depends on care, patience, and respect for things that are not obvious. In my view, the Franklin Earth Lodge sites represent a kind of history that often gets overlooked. Not kings or battles, not monuments or legends, but ordinary people building lives that worked for them. That feels honest. It reminds us that most human history was lived quietly, without leaving marks meant to last forever. The present situation is uncertain but hopeful. The sites are known and valued by researchers, which is a strong positive. The negatives are visibility and vulnerability. Without stronger protection and public understanding, more details may be lost to time and land use. Franklin does not demand attention, but it deserves it. Beneath that quiet ground is a long human story that still matters today. Platte River Valley prehistoric villages. The Platte River Valley looks wide and calm today. The river moves slowly, shallow in places, braided into many channels. Fields stretch out on both sides, broken by trees and towns. Roads cross where people barely think twice about it. But long before farms, bridges, or borders, this valley was one of the most important living spaces on the Great Plains. Hidden beneath fields and riverbanks are the remains of prehistoric villages that once held thousands of people. Most of them are invisible now, but they were once full of life. The Platte River was more than just water. It was a guide, a food source, and a safe path through open land. Animals followed it. People followed the animals. For ancient groups, this river meant survival. It provided fish, fresh water, wood for fires, and rich soil for growing crops. It also acted like a natural road, connecting distant regions. People could move east or west without losing access to water. That made the valley a perfect place to settle. Archaeologists have found evidence of villages all along the Platte. These were not small camps. Many were large, planned communities with earth lodges, storage pits, and shared work areas. Families lived close together. Fields of corn, beans, and squash grew nearby. Hunting grounds were within reach. Life here was steady, but not easy. Floods could wipe out crops. Winters could be harsh. Still, people stayed, rebuilt, and stayed again. One of the mysteries of the Platte River villages is how long they lasted. Some sites show signs of use for hundreds of years. Lodges were repaired or rebuilt on the same spots. Storage pits were reused. This suggests strong attachment to place. These were not people passing through. They were people investing in land, knowledge, and community. Another mystery is how many villages existed at the same time. Some evidence suggests the valley supported large populations spread across multiple settlements. Were these villages connected peacefully, or did they compete for land and resources? Trade items found at some sites suggest long-distance contact. At the same time, signs of burned structures at others hint at conflict. The full picture is still unclear. The river itself adds to the mystery. The Platte is known for changing its course over time. Channels shift, banks erode, floods reshape the land. Because of this, many villages may now lie buried deep under sediment or washed away entirely. Others may sit under modern towns or farmland. What we know today is likely only a small part of what once existed. Daily life in these villages was busy and physical. People farmed during the growing season, hunted during migrations, and gathered plants year-round. Inside earth lodges, meals were cooked, tools were made, and stories were shared. Children learned by watching and helping. Elders held memory and tradition. Life followed the rhythm of the river and the seasons. One thing that stands out is how well adapted these communities were. Earth lodges kept temperatures steady. Food storage pits protected supplies through winter. The river allowed travel and trade. These were smart solutions built through experience, not chance. Yet even smart systems can fail. Climate shifts, drought, or changes in animal movement could quickly make life harder. At some point, many of these villages were abandoned. The reasons are still debated. Climate change is one possibility. A series of dry years could have ruined crops. Pressure from other groups moving into the valley may have forced people to relocate. Disease may have played a role, spreading along trade routes. The land does not give a clear answer, only silence where voices once lived. Today, the condition of the Platte River prehistoric village sites is complicated. On the positive side, archaeologists know the valley is extremely important. Many sites have been recorded and studied. Laws protect known locations from destruction during major construction projects. Museums and universities continue research, sometimes using new technology that allows study without digging. On the negative side, farming has caused serious damage. Plowing cuts through shallow archaeological layers. Over decades, entire villages have been broken apart and scattered. River erosion continues to wash away sites near the banks. Urban growth adds pressure as towns expand. Once a site is destroyed, its story is gone forever. Another challenge is visibility. Unlike stone ruins, these villages leave subtle traces, a slight rise in soil, a darker patch of earth. Without training, most people would never notice them. This makes it harder to build public support for protection. People tend to care more about what they can see. When I think about the Platte River Valley, what stays with me is the sense of loss mixed with continuity. The river still flows, people still depend on it, but the villages that once lined its banks are mostly gone, erased quietly by time and use. At the same time, knowing they existed changes how you see the land. It no longer feels empty or new. In my view, these prehistoric villages represent a deep understanding of balance. People here did not dominate the river. They worked with it, knowing its risks and gifts. That balance did not last forever, but it lasted long enough to shape generations. There is something humbling about that. The present situation along the Platte River is both hopeful and worrying. Research continues, and awareness is growing among historians and planners. That is a positive step. On the other hand, agriculture, erosion, and development continue to threaten what remains. Protection often comes too late, after damage is already done. Today, the Platte River Valley looks peaceful and productive. Beneath that surface lies a long human story of villages built, lives lived, and communities shaped by water and land. Most people pass through without knowing it is there. But once you do know, it is hard to see the river the same way again.